What's happening in the Middle East, in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political liability, which I think is something that we fail to look at, because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel, because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you said, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first, indirectly and directly through Israel, help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden. And we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CIA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution. It is.
Right, this is not a political channel, as you know. It's to do with cryptocurrencies, but we need to understand why these things are happening in the world. There's too much interference by countries that shouldn't be interfering with stuff. And I'm going to play you one more video from, by the way, it's Digital Lifestyle here, and this is just going to be one of those videos I'll just do off the cuff. And there's another video I want to play you, and this is asking a serious question to the people who allowed this thing to happen. And I hope you guys get it, seriously. Anyway, let me go and get it. Hold on. Here you're gonna hear from the Irish Prime Minister, and he's gonna rip into what's going on. He's not holding any punches when he speaks about the situation. I actually understand where he's coming from.
Sir, I will say frankly, I'm one of the people who thinks you should be expelled from this country, and I believe that it's to do with the policies of your state. If I was Jewish and had never stepped foot in Israel, I could claim citizenship there tomorrow. But 6 million people whose origins are in what you now call Israel, who were forced out in 1947 or 48, do not have that right. Isn't that part of the reason why the Palestinians are in dispute with Israelis? Because you deny them the right to return to their homes and to their land and to their villages, and that they have a legitimate claim, even under international law, to return, but you deny them that right. Why do you deny them that right? And why do you give that right to other people who have no connection whatsoever with the land, whether you call it Israel or whether you call it Palestine? Why do you continue to seize land if you're serious about Oslo and the two-state solution, which under that agreement is land designated to be Palestinian land? 500,000 people, most of which has taken place since Oslo. You allow that to happen. Why do you allow it to happen if you're serious about giving this land to the Palestinians? It's absolutely extraordinary. Are you not just taking us, Ambassador, for idiots? That you can say with a straight face, we're serious about peace, but while we're serious about peace, we're going to seize Palestinian land. And you expect the Palestinians to just sit back and do nothing about that. Now, you know what the Palestinian people have been asking for. Far less even than some people would ask for. Because I believe the whole apartheid system should be dismantled. But what they've asked for is to lift the siege of Gaza. Just to lift the siege of Gaza. Let them have an airport. Let them have ports. Let them not be dictated to by a government for whom they do not vote as to what can go in and out of their territories, whether they will have power, whether they will have clean water, whether they will have medicine. What makes you think you're allowed to have nuclear weapons and the fourth biggest army in the world and visit destruction on the people of Gaza, but they have no right to defend themselves? They have no territorial sovereignty over that land.
Could you ask questions, please?
How do you justify that?
Yeah.
All right. How do you justify those double standards? Very lastly, Ambassador, people like Bishop Tutu, Nelson Mandela, and I would certainly describe your state as a apartheid state with different laws for people depending on their race or religion. For example, at checkpoints going into the West Bank, there's a channel if you're Israeli or European, and there's a channel if you're Arab. Just because you're Arab. If you came into Dáil Éireann and they stopped you and said, "Are you Jewish?" "Oh no, sir, you can't come in through the same entrance as Irish people or European people because you're Jewish," you would call that racism and apartheid. You practice that with your checkpoints and your military barriers and your apartheid wall. How can you justify it?
Truth, and this really is the heart of all of what's going on right now, and this is going to have a massive effect on the world economy. The longer this carries on, not being funny, the oil prices are going to go up as a result of this. And now I'm hearing, and from the Israelis, that they're going to cut off all the gas, electricity, and everything else to the Palestinians. I mean, come on now. What's your take on Israel? Really, seriously, what is your take? I mean, like, I'm not an anti-Semite, but I don't like quite see what's going on. Right? It's not fair. It's not fair at all. And this is the Israeli defense minister, and he's saying everything's closed, and they're not. He basically, hear what he's going to say. He's not.
הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם, ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם. אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק.
No food, no water, no electricity, everything closed. So what's going to happen to those people? Is this a human race? Is this a human race that's doing this to human beings? Seriously, you have to ask yourself that question. What is your take? Because this is not right. This is evil at the heart of it. And they are in their lands. They are on Palestinian lands. All Palestinians want, and as the geezer said, the blockade lifted, their own airport, etc., etc. They won't have to fight, to keep fighting. You know, they've asked for peace, and it's been agreed upon, but yet not given. The same thing happened with what's happening in Europe right now with Russia and Ukraine. The same damn thing. Russia asked for peace. They didn't get it. They got a war instead. Now look what's happening in Gaza. They're getting flattened. Anyway, I'm done.